Hello everyone. Today will be a very important video. This is of course a part of my much larger video series on the Ancient Kingdom, the ancient weapons, and basically the entire backstory and history of the One Piece world. There will be more videos and theories regarding the many mysteries and lore within One Piece that I plan on releasing, but this is going to be a big one. This will not be an easy topic to cover, I will admit. It requires a lot of points being true to fully work, but I believe the basic ideas and backbone of this theory are very likely to be true, mainly because it just wraps everything in the story together so perfectly. I covered this idea years ago in far less detail, around the time I first joined YouTube. Maybe a few of you will remember parts of it, but it's very old and outdated. If you haven't figured it out yet, this video will be covering the actual purpose of the One Piece itself. I will talk about what I think the treasure is, what its purpose will be, and how the ending of One Piece might play out. I want you to really bear with me in this video because you need the entire big picture of this idea in your head for it to really work. Additionally, you will need to go watch my last two videos in this series to grasp many details and concepts I want to bring up in this theory. With all that being said, the core of what I'm trying to prove here relies heavily on the dreams of the Straw Hats. Their dreams are, as we all know, Luffy wants to be the freest man alive, aka the Pirate King. Zoro wants to be the world's greatest swordsman. Sanji wants to find the All Blue, which you should definitely keep note of. Usopp wants to be the great warrior of the sea. Chopper wants to be the greatest doctor who can cure all diseases. Nami wants to draw out a map of the whole world. Frankie wants to build the ultimate ship that can sail through the Grand Line. Robin wants to uncover the true world history. Brook wants to be united with Laboon, and Jinbei wants peace between Fishman and humans. All of these are very important, but a few of these are especially important to remember in relation to this video. I want you to remember Sanji's dream, Nami's dream, Luffy's dream, Brook's dream, and Jinbei's dream in particular. Now, what do these dreams all have in common? Sanji's dream requires all four seas being connected, which is currently impossible due to the Red Line and Grand Line acting as barriers to these seas. Nami's dream requires a complete view of the world. It would be quite difficult charting every island on the Grand Line, and in the other blues where it is so difficult to get through because of all the obstacles in the way, such as the Red Line. Luffy's dream is a little vague, but can still tie into the fact that the geography of the One Piece world is very restricting. How can you be truly free when the Grand Line and the Red Line are constantly keeping you trapped in this metaphorical cage? Even as Pirate King, Luffy may have trouble traveling to places past the Calm Belt or Red Line. He would also have constant run-ins with the Navy and world government, with them trying to take him down or take his territories from him. In other words, the Pirate King is not actually as free as Luffy thinks it is, at least if he was just given the title alone. Even Roger could not truly solve all the world's issues with his title alone, and had to pass on his will to others at the end of the day. I believe that Brook's dream of reuniting with Laboon is also incredibly important in relation to all of this. Laboon is constantly attacking the Red Line, which in my opinion is a metaphor for something greater. The Red Line is restricting. It is a natural barrier that exists to completely wall off movement from opposite sides. And lastly, Jinbei wants unity between Fishman and humans. This can only be accomplished by bringing the fish people to the surface, as was mentioned in the Otohime flashback. Now, although the Red Line is sometimes described as a continent in the One Piece world, I believe it is more of a wall and a colossal burden to everyone. The only people who might see use in it is the world government, since they can prevent movement from pirates and the outside forces from entering as they please. Additionally, I might add that the world government is also the only faction that benefits from the Red Line to a significant extent. Not only is Mary Joie built on it, but it also provides the world government with a means to prohibit pirates and unauthorized factions from crossing over to the New World. It is quite literally a gate that they hold the key to. The Calm Belt is also no trouble for the world government, as they have specialized seastone-coated ships that let them cross normally. Other factions do not have this luxury. If we look at the rest of the world as well, it is a huge burden to have this huge, indestructible wall creating an impasse that heavily restricts trade and travel between the different seas. Real-world walls such as the Berlin Wall caused similar issues for those living in Germany. Many could not see their families who lived over the wall, and barriers across countries alone can be almost suffocating, and heavily restrict many freedoms that people should have. Now, just imagine how awful it would be to have this giant wall spanning across the entire world, and to make matters worse, the Calm Belt just adds another obstacle to the equation. As you can tell, I find the Red Line to be a crucial issue that needs to be solved in the One Piece world, but with its immense size, indestructibility, and security from the world government, how can it even be brought down? It seems virtually impossible. I believe the solution to this issue has already been presented, just not within the reader's view. But the key to the solution has been presented to characters in the story. The key to the solution lies in the plans made by the ancient Great Kingdom. In my last video, I covered in detail how the Great Kingdom very likely valued freedom and prosperity. To make this idea even more clear, let's look at the symbols of both the ancient kingdom and the world government. The world government symbol is represented by a cross. Remind you of anything? Here's a picture of the One Piece globe with the natural walls in view, aka the red line and calm belts. Two barriers represented by the two lines, and the 4 points on the outside which could represent the 4 seas, in the center of which is likely symbolic of the central world government. Now let's look at the Kozuki clan symbol. In the center of the symbol you see a central circle, like the central circle in the world government symbol. However, there are no lines stemming from this central circle. There are only smaller circles surrounding it. These circles might represent the different factions such as the Kozuki clan and many other groups that allied with the Great Kingdom during the Void Century. It could also represent the many moons around the One Piece world that different races such as the Shandorians came from. This fact is made clear in the Enel cover story, where we see the races have descended from the moons in the past. But the key thing to note here is that there is some degree of actual unity symbolized within this emblem, as if everything is surrounding and revolving around the central circle in unison. This contrasts the world government symbol, which has lines and circles all tied down to the central circle. These ideas and philosophies will prove to be very important in a point I make later in this video. Now, how did the red line connect to the Void Century and Great Kingdom? Well, the answer has already been partially given to us through the ancient weapons. It has already been explained countless times that the ancient weapons can sink islands with ease. The Pluton alone could easily wreak havoc on the world and destroy much of it, as explained by the world government before. However, if the Great Kingdom designed it, how could they value freedom and unity among all races but also want weapons of mass destruction? The only way this would work is if the weapons were not intended for purely violence and destruction. In my last video covering this topic, I explained how the ancient weapons were designed to fulfill a much bigger plan. This plan was brought up by King Neptune before. He said that Joy Boy had a plan involving Poseidon, aka one of the ancient mermaid princesses, and the Noah. This plan unfortunately never succeeded and was left on hold when Joy Boy died, and the Great Kingdom disappeared. What if this plan was designed to destroy the Red Line? The Great Kingdom and Joy Boy left behind everything on Raftel, the final poneglyphs, the ancient history, the information on the ancient weapons, and everything. This was confirmed in Roger's story. Even at the start of One Piece, Roger tells everyone that he left all of his treasure and everything there at that one place, and he inspires many pirates to go find it because he could not complete the plan that was given to him. And if you really start to think about it, everything begins to line up and make perfect sense when you connect all the pieces together with this idea in mind. The Red Line, as we've established, poses a huge threat to freedom itself in the One Piece world. The only way to deal with this threat is to destroy it, and the Great Kingdom created weapons of mass destruction which were unfortunately buried away and deactivated after the war that may have theoretically possessed the power to destroy the Red Line. If the current day world government clearly benefits from the Red Line, that would mean that they want to protect it, obviously. Since the ancient weapons might pose a threat to the Red Line as well, this could be why they want to bury all information regarding it. They clearly fear the ancient weapons, but maybe not just from the fear of islands being destroyed. If the Red Line also gets destroyed, people can freely travel between islands across the world unprohibited. There would no longer be the same level of restrictions on travel. Additionally, Mary Joie, which is stationed on the top of the Red Line, would be destroyed along with it if it got erased. So, could this have been the ultimate plan of the Great Kingdom? Is this the plan Neptune was referring to when he brought up the Poseidon and Noah along with Joy Boy's promise? The plan to destroy the Red Line and free the world from the walls that cage it. Most importantly, this could be the meaning behind the treasure and the title of the manga. The One Piece could refer to the world being one giant piece rather than segments of a piece. The only way for the world to be connected and whole is for the Red Line and Grand Line to be erased. The symbol in the Kozuki clan might be the perfect representation of what the One Piece is. A complete whole world filled and surrounded by various factions from all over. and many of these factions descended from the moon to be united on the blue planet, only to be divided later by the world government to be used as slaves or pawns. In other words, the One Piece is not a treasure in the traditional sense, it is a plan. Perhaps Raftel contains a great amount of physical treasure left by the Great Kingdom, but gold itself could never save such a broken and divided planet. You need a plan to defeat the walls and forces that leave the planet divided. This would also align with the fact that Roger was believed to have had everything. He was the Pirate King, he found the One Piece. He had the means to unite the world and take down the world government, but he failed. He did not have enough time to complete the plan, perhaps like Joy Boy who saw his plan fail, as Roger mentioned. This is where Luffy comes in. He wants to be Pirate King, not for status or wealth, but to be the freest man alive. And this can only be accomplished by completing this plan, aka the One Piece. Now, if you are still not sold on this idea, trust me, there is so much more backing this idea up. One such fact is the prediction of Luffy destroying Fishman Island. Many believe that Madame Charlie's prediction of Luffy destroying Fishman Island is false. I don't think it is. Madame Charlie's prediction could take place anywhere from a day to a year after it is made. In other words, there's plenty of time for this prediction to come true, and it is crucial foreshadowing left by Oda. If Luffy gains access to an ancient weapon that can destroy the Red Line, it would also destroy Fishman Island in the process. Remember, Fishman Island is directly beneath Mary Joie in the Red Line. In other words, if Luffy does free the world by destroying the Red Line, Fishman Island would also be destroyed by him, making Madame Charlie's prediction true. This is also where the Noah comes in. In the story of Noah's Ark, the giant ship was built by Noah to survive the flood and God's wrath along with his family and many animals. And since the ancient weapons are named after gods, this is perfectly symbolic of what could happen to Fishman Island. In other words, Luffy will destroy the Red Line, which would destroy Fishman Island. Fishman Island would be evacuated by Poseidon, aka Princess Shirahoshi, on the Noah up to the surface. It would also make sense that this was the original plan of Joy Boy, who made a promise to the mermaid princess hundreds of years ago that he was not able to keep. Luffy inherited the will of Joy Boy, and he will be the one to follow through with this plan. Remember, the merfolk and fishmen love the surface. Otohime wanted humanity and the fish people to unite at the surface, which is also crucial to this idea. Though the fish people are aquatic, that does not mean that they want to be trapped under the Red Line and enslaved on the surface by the world government forever. They want to be free as well, which requires the destruction of the Red Line. Now, what ancient weapon would destroy the Red Line and Fishman Island? We know Poseidon will most likely be used for evacuation, so that only leaves the Pluton and Uranus. The Pluton has been known to be a ship that can destroy entire islands. In other words, it could pack the firepower to destroy the Red Line. Now, while this is true, I think that acquiring the Uranus will be what allows for the destruction of the Red Line. Uranus is the father of many gods and was the god of the heavens. We also know that the celestial dragons have a national treasure that has the power to control the world, according to Doflamingo. If this national treasure is the Uranus or an ancient weapon that can destroy the Red Line or any island in general, it would make sense that the Gorosei and Imu are hiding it away from the world. It is also symbolic that Imu holds onto this giant straw hat, which was likely Joy Boy's. It also makes sense that he would want to erase Luffy, Blackbeard, and Shirahoshi, as we all see here. The Will of D and the Poseidon are both two key elements to completing the Great Kingdom's plan, the One Piece. Uranus, being the god of the sky and the father of many gods, should be what destroys the Red Line. Furthermore, we know that the Sunlight Tree Eve is connected through the same portion of the Red Line that Fishman Island and Mary Joie are connected to. This point is where the Calm Belt and Grand Line meet, the only other point other than the Reverse Mountain. But this point is crucial because it is in a way considered the center of the world, where the world government resides. And if this point is destroyed, you'd be freeing the world from both the world government and creating an area for all four seas to connect. Now, back to the Tree of Eve. It is very possible that the Eve tree holds the secret to the Uranus's power. After all, in the Bible, Eve is the one that ate from the tree of knowledge and brought upon God's wrath. If God is Uranus in this case, then perhaps Uranus will tie into the destruction of Eve and the Red Line. Eve is known as the Sunlight Tree, and if it somehow powers the Uranus and Mary Joie, this would align with the giant hole we see in Eni's lobby. It would also explain why Eni's lobby never experiences night. It is always illuminated by sunlight. Perhaps the Uranus can be paired with the Eve tree to create a beam, which destroys islands and leaves behind a trace of sunlight that never fades. Furthermore, we see a giant sinkhole in the center of the Tarai Current. Could these holes be the result of this powerful sky weapon that can sink islands using the Eve tree? I think it would make sense since they're right next to Mary Joie as well. The Eve tree is also likely tied to the Adam tree since they represent the story of Adam and Eve. In One Piece, the Adam tree is the last tree that survived a horrific war long ago, which might have been the Great War during the Void Century. It is possible that the area was destroyed by the weapon that was powered by the Eve tree, which ties into Eve being partially responsible for Adam's grim fate in the biblical story after eating from the Tree of Knowledge. We also know that the Tree of Knowledge exists in Ohara, which might be near these two trees as well. If we're still using Uranus as a representation of God in this example, maybe the Eve tree sparked the wrath of Uranus and nearly destroyed Adam in the process during this great war. This might also mean that there's a tree that represents the devil in this situation, and maybe this tree was the tree that created the devil fruits. Now, I do have a whole theory on the creation of devil fruits, but I will cover that in a later video. Now, still following this line of thinking, maybe on Ohara, within the Tree of Knowledge, was where the One Piece plan was first thought up. Therefore, the scholars of Ohara could piece the ancient history together there centuries later. But this knowledge would lead to the gods, or the celestial dragons, to destroy the Great Kingdom many years ago, using Eve and Uranus as a weapon against them. In other words, Uranus is a sky weapon that has the power to destroy islands in the red line from the heavens where Mary Joie resides. It could be a colossal beam or missile that splits apart rock and land to sink continents or islands to the bottom of the ocean. After reaching Raftel and learning about the true meaning of the One Piece and the history of the Great Kingdom and ancient weapons described by Joy Boy, Luffy might learn that he needs to destroy the Red Line and world government as soon as possible. Furthermore, if Frankie, who had the blueprints to the Pluton, could recreate a ship equal to or greater than the original Pluton, then he could potentially allow it to reach the heavens and the Uranus. Maybe during this time we will see a One Piece mini space arc where the Straw Hats travel using the Kude burst into the heavens and explore the Sky Islands again for a bit, and then see the space pirates up on the moons. This would all occur while traveling to Mary Joie in the Uranus in the skies. But if a space arc sounds a little crazy, just remember that Enel did it pretty easily with just a propeller on his giant arc. With all of these different moons surrounding the One Piece world, I doubt they will go unexplored for the entire series. Seeing as though the celestial dragons also wear these space suits or astronaut suits all the time, they might also have the ability to go into outer space at any point as well. This huge arc could be the last stretch of One Piece, where Luffy and his alliance needs to fight the world government and the last remaining Yonko and the strongest pirates fighting for control over the Grand Line and world power. Once he reaches Mary Joie using the Sunny's ability to fly, he will wage war against the Gorosei and Imu. We have seen him wage war on the world government previously, which is likely a great foreshadowing to this idea. That, and the fact that Luffy just flat out decked a celestial dragon once before. And with Dragon being Luffy's dad, Sabo being Luffy's brother, and so on and so forth, the revolutionaries might aid Luffy in taking down the world government in this arc as well. This arc might also be where Luffy makes the final decision to destroy the Red Line in Fishman Island, all while warning Shirahoshi to evacuate the island with the Noah. Additionally, Blackbeard could tie into this arc toward the end. Blackbeard has been slowly building up to be one of the most dangerous foes for Luffy in the future. Blackbeard is also a D that has many dreams, but overall Blackbeard contrasts Luffy in how he achieves his goals and dreams. Blackbeard lies, cheats, and aims to get power and control. Luffy's alliance, Blackbeard, Dragon and the Revolutionaries, Shanks' crew, the Gorosei, and Imu might all square off in this final battle against each other. Winner gets all. Then, the final fight between Luffy and Blackbeard might be what decides who gets control over the ancient weapons and Uranus. Luffy wants to free the world and wants to be free himself, but Blackbeard wants power and recognition. Blackbeard would fight to use the Uranus as his own personal island-sinking device that he could use for total domination over the world. Now, all of this might sound like a lot of speculation, and it is, but I think this is all massively foreshadowed by Doflamingo's speech about the Throne Wars, and the fact that all of these enemies have been slowly building up to be the final enemies of the Straw Hats during this great war. Now, because One Piece is in fact a shonen, Luffy will probably win against Blackbeard in the end. At the end of this arc, this is where each of the Straw Hats' dreams could come true. Luffy would win against Blackbeard, making him the Pirate King and grant him the ability to set the world free. Luffy could use the Uranus to destroy the Red Line and Mary Joie, which sits on top. Now, Fishman Island would also be destroyed as collateral, but most importantly of all, The world government would be defeated, Fishman Island would be returned to the surface and be free of oppression, and many of the kingdoms and races would be united once again under Luffy. This would also make Madame Charlie's prediction about Luffy destroying Fishman Island 100% accurate, but once again this wouldn't be a bad thing. Zoro would defeat Shiryu and maybe other members of the world government who are also swordsmen. I doubt he would want to defeat Mihawk since Mihawk was the one that trained him during the time skip, and Shanks, the other top contender, probably would not be taken down by Zoro since Luffy idolizes him. In other words, Zoro would become the strongest upon conquering the world government and Blackbeard's crew. Maybe Shanks and Mihawk will be killed by Blackbeard's crew and Zoro will have to defeat them to reclaim their honor. Then Nami, who could observe the world from the heavens where Uranus resides, could have a complete view of the islands below. She could use this to make a map of the world, and any places she misses could also be filled in once she travels to the different seas, with the red line being destroyed and no longer acting as a barricade. Usopp, much like Zoro, would be part of the strongest crew in the world. This would make him the bravest and strongest warrior who conquered the world government. Maybe Usopp will get a huge chunk of the credit for taking down the world government, since it seems to be a running gag in the series with God Usopp. And Sanji, whose dream is arguably the most important of all to this idea, would find All Blue in the center of where the red line was destroyed along with Fishman Island. All four seas would connect, forming a hotspot for fishers and cooks to find the best fish from all four seas. Now, if Luffy grows ill, much like Roger from this final war, Chopper may need to fulfill his dream of becoming the best doctor who can cure anything. He would need to search the whole world and the four seas for a medicine that could cure him, and upon doing so, his dream could be accomplished. It would also mean his redemption for being unable to save Dr. Hiraluk when he was younger. Robin would discover the entire world's history both in Raftel and within Mary Joie. She might discover the Straw Hat, which was probably Joy Boy's, and whatever history was taken by the world government. This would complete her dream, and it would be her revenge against the world government who killed her mom and destroyed her entire home island. Might spend the rest of her days afterward telling everyone around the world about the true history of the world and telling them a tale of Luffy, the bravest pirate ever. Frankie would develop a much better version of the third ancient weapon, the Pluton. This would be the ultimate battleship, much like the Battle Frankies we see in Frankie's childhood. Building the Pirate King's ship would complete Frankie's dream. Brook would be finally able to reunite with Laboon after a long journey with Luffy, and since Laboon was one of the first Red Line haters in the series, Laboon's dream would also be completed upon the destruction of the Red Line and being able to reunite with Brook. Lastly, Jinbei would finally see the unity between Fishman and humans when the world government and the Red Line falls, along with the Noah bringing his people up to the surface. This would be a beautiful finale to One Piece, and I think this theory is incredibly likely with all the clues sprinkled throughout the story. Many people still ask, sometimes jokingly, if the Straw Hat is the final treasure of One Piece, or if it's something cheap like friendship, and I think the answer to that is actually partially yes. The Straw Hat is much more than a hat. It is a symbol of a promise made hundreds of years ago. It is inherited will. It is something that will be central to the theme of One Piece itself forever. Dr. Hiraluk said that people only die when they are forgotten. Yet, the world government has tried to make people forget about Joy Boy and his plans for freedom, but some have still not forgotten. Through the Straw Hat that has been passed down throughout the ages, we see new iterations of Joy Boy arise, and the will of D lives on. The plan called the One Piece will be completed, and the world will be united under one banner. Everyone's dreams will be completed, all under one world. One Piece has many real-world applications, and I'm certain it has changed the lives of many. These themes about unity, freedom, and friendship are incredibly well done. Oda has truly created a masterpiece. I hope you all enjoyed this video. A lot of work did go into it, so please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I have some more videos coming your way. I love you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day.